12P, tropical low 06U, is located 533 kilometers west-northwest of Port Vila, Vanuatu, and has moved east-northeastward at 6 kilometers per hour, 3 knots, over the past 6 hours. 12P is forecast to track generally east-southeastward through the forecast period, along the southern edge of the deep layer near equatorial ridge directly to the north. Categorization estimates forecasts are provided by JTWC. Wind speeds and categorizations may be different from those provided by local meteorological agencies. In around 3 days, the system will slow its movement to the southeast as weak steering flow becomes evident and the system becomes somewhat quasi-stationary in 3 to 5 days, while checkmarking to the northwest through its dissipation phase. Although wind shear remains less than 35 km per hour, 20 knots, over the next 2 days, encroaching dry air wrapping into the center from the west will limit enhanced intensification, keeping the intensity 12P relatively stable over the next 3 days at 85 km per hour, 45 knots, and steadily decreasing to 55 km per hour, 30 knots, into the next 5 days while the system dissipates over water. Model members of the JTWC objective aids remain in good agreement that 12P will continue east-southeastward, with a cross-track spread of 130 km in 2 days and diverge uniformly by the end of the forecast period up to 222 km. Model members of the JTWC intensity consensus show a sustained forecast between 75 to 85 km per hour, 40 to 45 knots, into the next 4 days, and steadily decay to 55 km per hour, 30 knots, in 5 days. Global numerical guidance is in good agreement that 12P will move generally to the east-southeast over the next 4 days, while diverging into the next 5 days with multiple model solutions tracking the system slightly to the north and south as a weak steering environment increasingly dominates the area. The JTWC forecast remains just north of the consensus mean through the duration of the forecast period. In 5 days, all of the guidance begins to show a slow track movement with a westward component. Due to the uncertainty and increasing track spread near the end of the forecast period, forecast confidence of both track and intensity after 3 days are low. Maximum significant wave height is 6.1 meters, 20 feet. Information provided by the Joint Typhoon